Yo, 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 what is up? Happy weekend to you, Saturday to you, pre-Super Bowl. Listen, I have my BFF Jackie here live, and she's in California right now. And we thought we'd just jump on for a few minutes, dive into the 5 biggest mistakes that we see entrepreneurs wrestling with so they can't hit 3 to 5 million. So if you would like to go faster and not slower, then listen up because Jackie's a pro. I'm a pro at growing and scaling these businesses. So we just thought it would be fun to jam a little bit on some mistakes that we've made and we see other people making. Now, Jackie, will you talk just a little bit, introduce yourself, help people get to know you?
Absolutely. Hi, everybody. My name is Jackie Lacroix. I started online businesses, Eileen, over 10 years ago, which makes me feel a lot older than I am. But I've built beautiful, client loving businesses in the health and relationship and business spaces now.
Mhm.
And it's just such a joy. But I definitely wish that I knew then what I know now.
Yeah,
Could have gone a lot
100%.
faster, would have been a lot more fun. But yes,
Yeah.
I've loved this space for a while now.
Yeah, 100%. So if you're in a coaching, consulting, or you're an entrepreneur, or you're just getting started, we want to dive into the 5 mistakes that we wish we knew 5, 10 years ago that would have made us hit 1 million, 3 million, 5 million, 10 million faster, and how they could help you. And then we have a resource at the end that will help you dive deeper. This week, we have a challenge coming up. There should be a link somewhere here. But we just thought we'd have a little bit of fun today talking about the biggest mistakes. Now, Jackie, when we first met, you and I were both on social. So the number one mistake that I see, and maybe you do too, is watch this fire lower third banner, is people hustling out on social without a back end offer. So hustling on social, oh man, I got to fix it. It's without a back end offer. So let me correct that. If you're on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, got a podcast, let us know in the comments if you've got all this stuff. You've got a show, maybe you've got a podcast, maybe you're making posts on social media. Jackie, talk about that for just a little bit while I make this edit.
You know what's so, it's not funny, it's sad, but we can laugh now in the way that you laugh while you're crying, kind of, It's, you start a business, right? Most of us with this dream that you're going to work less and you're going to be more present with your family and it's going to be your dream lifestyle and it's just going to be this optimized, leveraged, all these big fancy words. And then if you don't understand what we discovered, which is a back end offer or a high ticket offer, you find yourself spending all of your daily life and sometimes even into the night creating content everywhere. And when it's not working, much of the coaching out there tells you just go create more, right? Like, well, what you need to do is not post on Instagram every single day. It's post 3 times a day and at these 3 times, right? And if
Yeah.
you're doing that, fantastic. But if there's nothing that's growing in your business, then it's because of this. If we're going to diagnose
Mhm.
people, basically, Eileen, is what we're doing, the hustling without a back end offer,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so it's,
100%. We are,
when I see
yeah.
someone creating a lot of content and then not having their revenue goals, it's almost inevitably because they don't have that offer.
Yeah, 100%. And I don't know about you, Jackie. When I first got started, maybe like five years ago, everyone was like, "You need a best-selling book." I was like, "Oh, okay. I need a not just a book. I need a best-selling book. I'm gonna need viral content on
Oh, yeah.
YouTube. I am going to need a hit podcast with big guests and celebrities, and they would say things. Remember, we'd hear things that were like, "You're gonna have to post like 3 to 5 times on."
Everywhere.
What was Twitter? What was Instagram? Yeah, and the stress and the
Yes.
overwhelm and the exhaustion uh, just seemed like this is never going to happen. Number one, but number two, no one told us when we first. I don't know. Maybe they told you. Figured it out. I didn't figure it out. But that like you need to have a premium offer on the back end of your business in order to have enough margin to pay for all of this stuff, right? Remember, so
Yes.
like
The only
we'd be
reason I figured
signing.
it out, Eileen, is because I was doing it wrong longer. That's all.
That's right. That's it. Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you for telling. Then Jackie was like, Eileen, stop doing this. She's like, you need a premium offer. So we'll dive into this. But you and I were buying like software, tech
Yeah.
tools, things that made fonts look pretty. I mean, the level of hustle and grind that people are being taught out there. Perhaps you're listening to this, they've been taught to hustle and grind. And we're just here to tell you, like 100%, that's not wrong. It's just out of sequence. Not wrong. It's just out of sequence. What's the big takeaway of the first move in sequence is build the back end, build your premium offer first, so that when you go out on social, you're not just making a bunch of noise. You're leading them somewhere, right? Jackie, you want to speak to that at all?
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that when a lot of people are just starting and they build their offer, they're like, well, but now I don't have any people, and it's
Yeah.
fine. That's cool, because when the people do start coming, you have a 3K, 5K, 10K, 20K package to offer them, which is a much smaller frustration of just going to find people than having all the people and not understanding why you don't have a business because you're not making any money. Yeah,
Not
I'm
making
sorry.
any money.
Blunt this morning.
No, that's the end result. So if you're struggling making money, this video is for you, because if you're struggling to hit 1 million, you're struggling to hit 3, you're struggling to hit 5, it's because you're out there hustling and grinding on social without a system leading people into your premium offer effortlessly. So Jackie, we talk about like when you first found that secret sauce. Like you found it before I found it. Like, and you were like, Eileen, I found the secrets of the universe. And I was like, what is, do you talk about
Yeah.
that?
Oh my gosh. Well, I found it because I was so exhausted from what wasn't working. Right. And then when I kind of fell into the system of having a more premium offer and got over any mindset that that was somehow not in service, and instead realized that it is in service, because then my clients were going to show up and participate and do the work and value what I was teaching them. It was like finally feeling legit, if I'm honest, right? Like how many of
Mhm.
us feel in business sometimes we're just kind of putting stuff out there and telling ourselves we're professionals. But when there's finally income coming in and there's finally, yeah, I know, there's finally testimonials coming in, you're like, oh, but I'm doing this. Like I'm doing the thing. I'm actually doing the life changing that I've always wanted to do. And so I found like I could finally sleep in peace. Like I could finally wake up and feel like a boss. Like the momentum I was going to put into my business that day was actually going to get myself and my clients and audience somewhere. And that was
Mhm.
just such a relief after so many years of wondering why all of the pushing wasn't working and wondering if it ever would.
Yeah, so good. I feel like we're on like the Nightline news and it's like 60 minutes. So it was so good, Jackie. So a lot of hustling without a back end offer. Um, Second reason there, Jackie, spending a lot of money on tech and team.
Oh,
Um, yeah, let's just talk about this pain for a second. So you know how you get like really overwhelmed once you figure out I need to be on Instagram and YouTube and podcasts, and you're like, oh my gosh, I like need some help here. So you start like trying to find an assistant or a virtual
yeah.
assistant, and then you start spending money on a lot of team, and that's overwhelming too,
Yeah.
right, Jackie? You remember that? Like we
Yeah.
were trying to,
Yeah.
and so
Totally.
I find in my consulting that a lot, even big businesses, Jackie. So people will come to me with like, maybe they're doing 15, 20. There was a business doing 30 million the other day. And I said, how big is your team? And they were like, well, we have like, 30 to 50 people, but they were allocating a majority of their budget to this team and almost nothing for their marketing. And so
Oof.
I was seeing how that is a big pain point with people with big businesses. And maybe you're watching this, like team can get very expensive, can get hard to figure out hiring, and then get very expensive. And then it can get hard making payroll every month
Yeah.
and not figuring out kind of the ads and the premium offer game. So we just talk about like tech, like spending money on tech and team. Maybe share that story when you were, well, yeah, yeah. Do you remember any of that?
Oh my gosh, like it was yesterday. And the problem is it's a snowball, right? You feel like you have to create all this content. So you start seeing, I don't know how they do this, but we'll call it targeting, but you start seeing all the ads for all of the softwares. They're going about to solve all of your social media problems. The planners, the posters, the branding color thingies, like, all of the things. And so you start buying all of them because you're like, perfect. This is the leverage I've been looking for, so I don't have to hustle so hard on social. And then you find yourself trying to figure out all of the softwares,
Yeah.
learn them, optimize them, get them to talk to each other. What on earth? And so you realize this is not what I'm here on earth to do, right? Like figuring out being in the chat support with the software guy one more time. Like they know you by first name and you're like, I'm pretty sure I'm supposed to be coaching people and not trying to make this work. So you hire people to do it for you and you start to feel like a boss until, just like you said, Eileen, you have to pay for it and there still is no money coming in, right? So yes, I remember when I built my first website for 15 grand,
Let's
no
go.
big deal, was not making 15 grand all
Yep.
year, right? And like it was not my best move. Now I still love that website. I'm never going to change it because I've earned that thing, but it was not in sequence, right? And so if I had known to instead develop a premium way to serve people,
Yeah.
not worry so much about all of the different softwares and how fancy I could feel and how big it could be set up and all the people I needed to help me when there were no clients coming in, then I would have saved myself so much peace. And I could have done that after the fact with, like you're saying, that massive margin that great offers create.
100%. I remember when Jackie first told me, you guys, about having an offer that was a premium offer. And she was like, Eileen, it's crazy sauce. I think this was like 2017, 2018. She was like, you charge a premium price, and then the people who pay that premium price, they actually do the work. And they like come to the calls and do the homework. And she was like, and you have this very high profit margin. And I remember, Jackie, you told me you had made something like $30,000 in like a week or something like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, in a month. Okay. And I was like, Jackie, you're a millionaire. I was like, $30,000, the most amount of money I've ever heard of in my life. And you kind of turned me on to this idea, which is kind of brings it to the third mistake of people just underpricing their offer and having price cowardice about charging premium prices.
Yeah.
And the awakening that brought to me, number one, that the clients would get better results. They'd have a better experience. They could have more of a premium service and support environment. But also that higher profit margin would be what experts call the profit maximizer in the business, that would bring in the cash infusion to build the rest of the business.
Yep.
And so we talk about, like, when you made the jump from charging kind of low ticket for your stuff into that premium pricing, what made you kind of make that leap in your own mind? How did you get over the fear of charging a higher price?
Yeah, I mean, to be totally transparent at that point, because it was sink or swim, right? The business was not a business, and yet it was taking all of my time and plenty of investment, and it wasn't working anymore. So it was like, this needs to stop. How many of you had the, get a real job conversation, right?
Yeah.
Or it needs to finally work. So there was that pain, and there was the pain of looking at the women who had previously purchased my lower ticket offerings who hadn't had any changes, right? And then when I would check in with them, it was, in total understanding and total love, but it was a bunch of excuses basically about why that wasn't, they didn't have time, blah, 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 right? And I remember thinking, what am I doing? I'm not helping people, I'm not making money, and I'm spending all of my time not helping people and not making money, right? Like it didn't make sense. And so it was more of a breaking point, I think, Eileen, where I wanted to prove to myself that this is who I was, and this is what I came to Earth to do. And I was a business owner, and I was an entrepreneur, and I was going to figure out a system that actually worked. And that it was the push that there was no other way. I may as well try this because nothing else has been working, that got me over that little fear bump.
Yeah, I love it. So cool. So if you're watching this and you're a new entrepreneur, like, congratulations for tuning in, watching the replay, so that you can actually start your business with this premium offer first. And that's what Jackie taught me. And that's what we guide people through in our challenge coming up. Should be a link somewhere on the page if you would like us to kind of walk with you step by step in understanding how to create a premium offer, and then how to sell it in a way where you do it one day a month. So that's kind of the game that we're in. We love it because it brings a lot of time freedom, a lot of financial freedom, a lot of freedom to do what Jackie was talking about, just for you to coach, for you to add that, do what you're born to do. So we stumbled across the system. It took us years, maybe, and for me, hundreds of thousands of dollars figuring it out. But if you would like not to do that and just to go faster, we'd love to invite you to join us inside the challenge. It's coming up sometime soon, so you can click the link here below. But Jackie, let's dive into. So sometimes I see another big hurdle. Number 4 is people only trying to scale to 1, 3, 5, 10 with only on organic. So they're exhausted because they're out there posting and getting in DMs. Lord Jesus, let me save somebody here today. Like, like, just conversations in chat, conversations on the phone, all in organic marketing rather than the faster path, which is partnerships and ads. So I'd love to dive into this for a second. But when we talk about like when you were getting clients and then you're getting on the phone all the time. Do you remember that when you would be kind of getting clients and then you'd be, yeah, just on that phone?
Yeah,
You talk about that?
totally, all the time. And in the beginning, it was even worse because I kept trying to sell new things to the same group of people who were already following my pitifully small social media following at that time, right? Like it just wasn't
Pitifully small,
because they
Jackie.
very, very pitifully, yeah. Like, 100 on Instagram. Hey, no shame, right?
No shame.
And no shame at all. And they would buy stuff and then they wouldn't do it. And then I would need to create something new, right? So that transition into having the courage to run advertisements and actually
Mhm.
reach out to partners and say, hey, I've actually got something that's life changing. I love your audience. You're doing amazing work. I think I could really serve them, right? That
Yeah,
whole conversation teach people to have, but having the courage, just like price courage, really, to step into
yeah,
like, it feels like cold water, right? Cold traffic, into the cold water of cold traffic versus the 100 people who are cheering you on and just can't buy any more of your stuff right now.
yeah, you saturate
But
your
it was
list.
game changing, right? It was,
Mhm.
it was like, this whole new world open. And so then, yes, I was on the phone because I didn't understand the process that you've now developed to take every single one of those cold leads over to a hot lead and a buyer. And it was beautiful. It worked, but I spent my entire life on the telephone. But it was that first leap into like ads work. And you can go from someone who doesn't know you exist to a high ticket buyer who is in tears, thanking God that they found you because you have the solution they need and then does the work and gets the result. I mean, it's amazing. We've seen this so many times, Eileen. People who had no idea we existed like 2 months ago, and now they're like, they're so grateful and they're getting incredible results. How did that happen? And so people
Right.
are often afraid of cold traffic, and it is, there's still people, there's still warm hearts, even though they're cold traffic, right? And with a great system,
Warm.
you can reveal how you can help them in such a short time frame.
Yeah, 100%. And a lot of people right now watching this think that ads are dead or too hard or it's like too expensive. But 100%, just to for those of you who may think that when you have a high ticket offer, your ROAS or the money you're making off of whatever the ads are, it doesn't even matter. Because say
Yeah.
you have a 5, 10, $20,000 offer on the back end, does it really matter if you spent $2,000 to acquire that customer? I'm not even saying that it would be that much, but would you be okay? Let me know in the comments if you spent $2,000 and got a $20,000 buyer. Like, so that's the beauty of a premium offer business is it just takes care of all the things. It takes
Yes.
care of marketing and ads. It takes care of paying them for team. It takes care of delivering a 5-star client experience because how many of you guys want to like actually serve your people? So yeah, so premium offer, we're just in love with this business and we would love for you to come on in because the water's warm. It's awesome. So Jack, anything else you want to say about ads? And then the phone, I mean, this would lead me to mistake number 5 is like trying to figure it all out on your own. When you
Yeah.
first brought me into this, you were like, Eileen, premium offers. I was like, I'm in. This sounds
Yep.
fire. I'm a premium buyer. I love it buying expensive things, and you were like on the phone and Jackie would, you'd call me at the end of the day and you'd be like, Eileen, I've been on the phone. You'd be like, I'm on the ground. In my, I've been on the phone like 20 people
Oh,
a day, and you're like, I've got to find another way. And
yeah.
you paid for me to go to a conference and I met some people and some mentors that guided me into a system of selling the high ticket offer, the premium offer to a group of people in like
Yes.
imagine
Thank you, Jesus.
a presentation and the light bulbs for you and I started going off like, wait a second, it's like we're on the phone but we're on the phone with like this crew in this room or this 10, 20, 50, whatever it looked like. And I remember when you and I started getting the epiphany that it's like we'd be on the phone call doing it once, and then a bunch of people would buy. And
Yes.
the first time that that happened, Jackie, I was doing a master class in a nearby in Houston, and there were 12 people in the room, and I walked out with $108,000. And that was the very first time I had an evidence file.
Yes.
I don't have to be on the phone. And this is like way more fun to
Yes.
present it in a group format. Whether they buy or they don't buy, the masterclass is like fire fun. It's like so fun. So Jackie, we talk a little bit about that, like that kind of discovery for us of like, oh wait, we're moving from one to one, baby, and we're going one to many. This is like
Oh my gosh. No, it's so funny because you're right. I was on the floor. I just remember being
you were
on the literal living room floor in front of my fireplace, like with the phone to my ear, like, Eileen,
you were
I
like
can't do it
pregnant.
anymore. You know what I mean? The ads are working so well. And yes, they're enrolling, but I'm so freaking tired. And just total transparency, I would call people a little late sometimes after their appointment because I was like trying to get myself psyched to do one more hour on the phone with the same presentation. And then I'd be like, maybe they won't pick up. This would be great. And I would just be willing to throw away the ad money because I didn't want to be on the phone. So when you came in and you were like, hey, in like 1 to 4 hours, I just enrolled all of these people through one presentation of how I can help them. I was like, you're kidding. And it worked, right? It was
Mhm.
game changing and it was freedom. And you're right. It's so much more fun. It's more fun for us, of course, but it's more fun
Yeah,
for them too. The energy and the camaraderie and the sense of I can do this because I'm surrounded by people doing the same thing. It's
yeah,
impossible to compare. So my
yeah,
gosh, yes.
yeah.
So
And you've
grateful to
been
be in
I know, it's so grateful, right? So if you're like asking yourself, like, is there a better way? Is there a faster way to 1, 3, 5, 10? Maybe you've been on the phone on the floor, like Jackie, or you may have like a big sales team and it's like a headache.
Yeah.
We just want to let you know there is this crazy sauce thing called selling one to many. Some people call it selling from stage, or we call it doing a master class. And it's so fun and so much better to just the amount of dominoes that it knocks over for you. We like to say immersion causes conversion. So that experience together will cause all the sales you're looking for. So again, there's a link somewhere on this page if you want to dive deeper with us and Jackie and I kind of hold your hands through this process. Jackie was with me when we started doing 6-figure days and then 7-figure days. And I know the thought that goes through one's mind after you do 6 figures in a day, let's say, not maybe when if some of you watching do 7 figures in a day, you ask yourself the question, what have I been doing with all the other days of my life
Yep.
up until now? Like, what have I been focusing on? Do you know what I'm saying? Like podcasts, YouTube, books, Instagram, like, like what else have I been focusing on? So if you're watching this video, we would love to help you focus on the one skill that will pay the bills, and that is presenting your offer one to many. So again, you're invited to the challenge. Jackie, is there any kind of um, last any last words for for those
Yeah,
people? That,
absolutely. I think it's when something isn't working, you get so close to giving up, right? And the thoughts of, I'm not meant to do this. I'm not good enough to do this. I
yeah.
guess I don't have anything to offer. I guess, I was born to be a small time entrepreneur. I'm never going to be one of those big ones. All of these beliefs come in and then
Mm,
shut down our willingness to take new action. But what Eileen and I have found is that there is a path, and we're not just like saying that to get you excited and cheer you on. There is actually literally a path. And it's appalling to me how few people are walking on it when it exists, right? So sometimes it's just, are you willing to open your mind one more time and say, okay, maybe it's not going to work for me, or it's the niche that I'm in, or I just can't find those people, or whatever the beliefs you've told yourself are, and say,
Mhm.
I'm open to learning about a new path, and I'm going to see if this is going to work in a new way, right? Like I'm going to be willing to try, because when I cracked my own firmly held beliefs that I could not possibly create a high ticket offer, and that I could not
Mm,
possibly sell one to many, it
mm,
threw open doors and allowed me to experience new realities that I would never have experienced had I stayed in those beliefs and not tried a new path. So
love
if
it.
you're here at the beginning of 2024, let's try a new path. It not that it hasn't been working because you're not good enough, it's not good enough, you're not called to this, your spouse or
Mm.
your whatever are saying, no, I told you it wouldn't work. It's the path you're on. Let's get you on the path that works.
Jackie LaCroix, ladies and gentlemen. So consider this your invitation to join us on our money party. There's a challenge coming up sometime soon. If you're watching this video, I would encourage you click the link soon, because I don't know how much longer this is going to be up. But thanks again for watching, and hopefully these mistakes will help you and understand that there is a new and better and easier, fun path to growing your business to $1, $3, $5 million. So we love you so much. Can't wait to see you in the next video.